The FDA has given full approval for Pfizer's COVID vaccine. Officials say that since millions of people have already gotten the vaccine, this could spark many others to gain confidence in the Pfizer shot. 51% of the population has been fully vaccinated. Since the surge of the Delta variant, some cities have mandated vaccines for indoor activities. Let's talk more about what this FDA approval means and welcome in Dr. Richard McCormick, an emergency room physician. Dr. McCormick, great to see you again.
Great to be with you.
All right, so what's different now with the FDA approval than, say, Friday? I mean, the vaccine is the same, but what do we know today that we didn't know, say, Friday?
Well, I think it's just mainly gaining confidence with the public. I've had several conservative friends that have come in recently, actual friends that have come in sick with coronavirus who have not gotten the vaccine because of whatever they've read on the internet, whatever mistrust they may have, whatever the fact that it's been streamlined and it hasn't been through the vetted process. Now it has. You had a bunch of scientists and medical professionals sit there and vet the process. They looked at the data. They've seen how much it can be effective versus what the risk is, and they've seen that it's fairly safe. And it doesn't mean that it's not without some sort of risk. I mean, any medication we have on the shelf, whether it be chemotherapy, whether it be a drug, whether it be a vaccination, everything has a risk. But we can be relatively sure that the risk is minimal compared to the benefit that we can gain.
And that's the thing is, you know, if you crunch the numbers, the data adds up. This does seem to be a very effective vaccine when it comes to preventing, you know, severe death or severe illness and death. You know, things like Phil Valentine, we talked about that, and that's why we report this stuff, because we want everyone to have all the information. You know, on the other hand, though, we get this report from Oxford that says the vaccine efficacy is waning, especially when it comes to the Delta variant. You know, is there a point at which now we have FDA approval and everything, that's great, but we're also seeing that these vaccines are not working as well against the Delta variant?
So I've seen a lot of data out there. Of course, you can carry the virus when you're vaccinated. That's true. In the same amount, that's true also. They had that study in Israel. They showed 60% of the people who were admitted had the vaccination. Well, we have to put everything in context. Like Mark Twain once said, there's lies, there's damn lies, and there's statistics. And one of the things we noticed with that study is, remember that in Israel, you had about 85% of the people have been vaccinated. So if you adjust for that, still you have 3.5 times more likely to be admitted if you're unvaccinated than vaccinated. Everything's a money game. Everything's about Moneyball or the percentages. So if you play the percentages, I'll give you a perfect anecdotal evidence in my department, which is I have not admitted a person who's been vaccinated in the last month. Now, that's not to say that nobody's been admitted, but I've admitted a lot of people who have not been vaccinated. And I've never admitted a person because they got the vaccination due to the side effects. So if you just start doing the math, once again, the benefit far outweighs the detriment. Now, that doesn't always apply to everyone. I'm not talking about the young people who have already had the disease, who may have a hyperimmune response, things like that. That all changes the percentage based on who you are and what you're getting the vaccination for.
Right, and that's the key is, you know, there's anecdotal evidence that points that to some vaccine injuries and, you know, adverse effects. Certainly that is the case for some folks. But again, the overwhelming amount of the information out there shows that these vaccines really are the best way to prevent hospitalization and death here. And, you know, the FDA vaccine perhaps going to change some people's minds. We'll see. Dr. McCormick, I want to ask you something real quickly, too, about, you know, the military now mandating these vaccines for its active duty troops. You're a retired Marine. Tell us about your thoughts on that real quick.
So I remember when this was a big deal when anthrax first came out, and I was one of the first people to get anthrax. And I remember thinking, wow, this is just one thing that farmers have been getting for years and years because they've had a high exposure risk in the farming community. Once it became something they used overseas against troops and civilians, it became something that, once again, percentage-wise, we're going to benefit more than we're going to have a detriment. And in the military, as you know, we're ruled by a different set of rules. And when the military says that you're going to benefit by less days missed, maybe, then I don't think you're going to have too many military people die of this disease. But if you miss less worse, you're going to get less sick. And the side effects are still very small. And remember, the side effects that you get from this vaccination are probably the same side effects you're going to get from the disease, only less. And so I think it's okay to get this vaccination.
All right. Dr. Richard McCormick, thank you for your insight. Thanks so much, sir.
My pleasure.
All right, stay with us. We'll give you a preview of what's coming up later today here on the network. We'll be right back.